5 trustees present and 2 on Zoom. Let's go ahead and start with our Pledge of Allegiance to both flags. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. We don't have any public forum speakers. Yeah, I'm getting good. I'm getting there. Oh, on the white one. Consideration and possible action to approve the proposed contract with Perkins and Will, Inc. for the district-wide site and facilities assessment and planning project.
All right, Mr. Sandoval, you're up.
Good evening, Board of Trustees, Superintendent Cardona, Board. The last time that y'all had approved Perkins and Will, that was to select them as the design firm. The proposal came back and it was over $50,000, which requires another approval process. That's what we're here tonight. We have the contract right here. We've had our attorney vet it out. Everything checks out. So now it's just time to approve this contract for the design or for the long-term planning and facility assessments.
I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move that we approve Perkins and Will. As described.
Motion made by Ms. Viapando. Sorry, got caught.
New Year's overlap.
And seconded by Ms. Mejia. I'm sorry, it was like I couldn't talk. Any questions or discussion? Questions or discussion from the group?
Yeah, the contract is for the facility assessment, not any plans. Is that correct? I just wanted to be clear.
The way we've defined it is facility assessment and long-range planning.
Thank you.
Any further questions? All in favor, please raise your hand. 7, 0 against. We'll move on to the agenda preparation for January 17th, regular scheduled meeting. Dr. Cardona, take it away.
Madam President, members of the board, Happy New Year. And for those of y'all joining via Zoom, I have your formerly Christmas present, now board appreciation present in my office. So I will get it to you as soon as possible, but we do appreciate your service to the children and to the staff members in this community. And with that, I'll get started because cabinet told me I need to hurry up. So item 5, it says something about a college football game with the Texas school playing. Yes. I won't say who told me, but he coaches football and chief operating officer. We will start our board meeting with the student recognition. Mr. Underwood has several groups that we need to finish up on. Our kids have been really doing well, and we want to showcase them again, as always. Item 6, we will have a closed session as authorized by Section 551.074 of the Texas Government Code. Item A, discussion regarding the San Marcos High School principal. Item 7, the board will reconvene from closed session to take action if necessary on items discussed. Item A, consider approval of San Marcos High School principal. That process is going on right now. Mr. Sanders will have a report for Tuesday evening? Monday evening? Tuesday evening. Yes, they keep me on track. Item 8, reports and information. Mr. Sanders is going to have Dr. Shanda Block present an academic update, a mid-year academic update for the board as we move into second semester. So it kind of aligns really nicely. You notice we have yellow copy. We did move the financial quarterly update to February, and I think Ms. Garcia has a plan to make it every quarter. That'll make sense. And then the other areas that we changed really were numbering. We wanted the items to flow, so it didn't make sense to approve something before something else. So we switched that. So those are the only changes. And that's why the yellow. Mr. Sandoval will give an operations update. Item 9, approval of consent agenda items. Approval of the minutes for the regular scheduled board meeting on December 12, 2022. And then item B, which was formerly item 1 on items for action, is consider approval of awarded contract for fence and gate project for San Marcos CISD campus. Mr. Sandoval had presented on that earlier. Item 10, items for action under A, operations. 1, discussion and possible action to select the rank of competitive seal proposals for the administration building project. We received those back last week, and we will be bringing you the awarded, what we hope will be awarded for y'all's approval. We had 7. Item 10A2, consideration and possible action to approve a contract with a contractor for the ACC building, anticipated to be the new administration office / administration office, also known as the administration project. I don't really know why we named it that, but that's what we named it. Sounds ominous. Item 3, we need to remove and move to next month. Oh, okay. Duplicate. Okay, so we're going to remove item 3. Item 4, consideration and possible action to select a contractor to perform the asbestos abatement at the ACC building, anticipated to be the new administration office, and delegate authority to the superintendent to negotiate and execute a contract with the selected contractor. Item B, under communication, discussion and possible action for the approval of the resolution to consider designation of San Marcos CISD as a district of innovation. Mr. Fernandez, do you want to?
Yes, so we are providing a presentation to our DEIC. We will provide a presentation to our DEIC tomorrow afternoon, get their feedback on the possibility of becoming a district of innovation. I believe, I'm double checking this, but we are the only school district in Region 13 that is not a district of innovation. And so there's a bunch of things you can do with becoming a district of innovation, but we're going to stick to 3 or 4 things. And those are the things we're going to take to DEIC tomorrow, either get their blessing, get their feedback, and then bring to the board their full recommendation. This came about from DEIC. We were talking about the calendar for next year, and they wanted to explore the option of district of innovation, because one of the options is to adjust your calendar based on getting approved to be a district of innovation. So we'll have more information following our DIC tomorrow, and we'll take that to the full board at the regular board meeting.
Item C, finance, consider approval of budget amendments. Currently, we have 0 budget amendments, so that'll be good, I hope. And Madam President, this is administration's presentation. So.
Ms. Mejia mentioned that we probably need to add under 9, item 9, approval of consent items, the minutes for regular scheduled board meeting on December 12th and tonight's meetings, January 9th.
Right, so the January, well, basically today's meeting is missing on there.
Okay, anyone else?
Yeah, Ms. Cantu, we had spoken a couple of months ago about having a conversation with the superintendent at the middle of the year as a sort of formative review process. And I think that we should probably do that in January if we're going to conduct the annual review in June.
Okay, so we would have to add
Get added to the.
Closed session.
a closed session.
Yep, thanks. That's all.
What number do you want to give it?
We'll just do B, because we'll keep it in order. The high school
Okay.
principal's more important right now.
Okay, so superintendent, mid-year eval.
I'll get, yes, a formative mid-year evaluation.
Anyone else? Anyone else? Now, the superintendent and I had a conversation this morning regarding setting up the election for the return of the money,
The recapture, yes.
recapture. We talked about that.
You want to keep it in February?
Sorry, I'm the Zoom police.
Thank you for
So
doing
if
that.
we want to have
Mr.
the Chapter 49 election in May, we call that before February 17th. So our regular meeting is February the 20th, which is too late. So we could either do it on February the 6th, which I believe is already scheduled, or we can have a special one on the 13th.
Or we can
Or
move.
we can add it to this one.
I have a question. So since the state has just announced their $36 billion overage of the people's money, and that they're going to be prioritizing education in theory during the legislative session, do we have a sense that the cap on the Chapter 49 might shift so that this would become unnecessary?
Pay back as much?
I don't
Because they're
think
talking
that-
about
I
property
don't think-
tax relief and teacher raises.
Right. I still think that we're gonna fall in line with the Chapter 49, even if we don't this year have to pay anything, at least we already have that election done for the future, because
And
we'll
it's-
have to do it at one point or the other.
So it would stay good. I mean, we wouldn't run the clock out on it. It would stay good till we needed it.
Yes. So as soon as it's passed, it stays forever, so we don't have to go back and
Okay.
do that again.
Okay.
And we
Thanks.
were waiting till February because we have to wait till the polling places are decided, which we can't actually decide until we go to well, it's not really.
We're waiting on the counties to give us the polling information and dates, and we don't have that information currently. We should have it by the end of January, so that's why we're saying we needed to have it either February the 6th or the 13th.
What is the pleasure of the board? To put it for February?
Ms. Cantu.
Oh, yes. Yes, Mr. Redondo?
Thank you, President Cantu. I responded to Mrs. Guy's email when it was sent out to the board. I'm indifferent on when we have the conversation. My hope or my expectation or my request from my colleagues and staff would be that we, I guess, keep all of the election conversation interconnected. If we do the Chapter 42 election, let's be cognizant and acknowledge the fact that there are 3 board members who are up for re-election. So just that we make sure that if we have the Chapter 42 election, we're going to need the at-large polling location information from the county, right? We're going to have more than just single-member districts 1, 2, and 3 polling locations because of the Chapter 42 election. Additionally, there have been some tentative timelines. If the board does consider a May election, but not a Chapter 42 election, still at-large polling locations necessary. And so that's my only request in regards to any conversations on elections, is that we look at it holistically and not, one or the other, that we be proactive and that we plan for that. And then I guess my question for Mrs. Garcia is, we're waiting on the county to decide where our polling locations are, or where they'll be, or what are we waiting on Hays County for?
We're waiting on a schedule from the counties. So Ms. Gunther contacts the counties to see what dates they have available. And so that's what we're waiting for from the county.
Okay, because it's my understanding that we contract through them. So if we say we want, 1 polling location or 8 polling locations, that is just dependent on the ISD being willing to pay for that service, correct?
I believe we have to, let me let Lisa talk.
We just have to remember that we had that contract with the county-wide elections. So basically, we have plenty of polling locations. Now, the only thing is that if you want to add some polling locations at Texas State University, it's just to talk to Hays County. to see if we can add those polling locations. And
Okay,
also
thank you
for-
so much, Alicia. And I'm sorry, and this is my last comment, Mrs. Cantu. And I guess that's what I hope, these ongoing conversations are is, what does our ISD calendar look like when we discuss polling locations, which elections are going to be on the May ballot, et cetera, et cetera. If, this deadline to call elections is February 16th, then obviously we need to talk about polling locations, what we're contracting through the county at our January meeting. Is that not an accurate assessment if the deadline is February 16th?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. We have the regular scheduled board meeting for February 21st as an option. You could move that up to the 13th.
With this, excuse me, didn't mean to just butt in, but I guess I will. With this much advance notice, I would be comfortable with putting it on the special called board meeting. It would be publicized and the community at large would have plenty of opportunity to be present for that meeting.
She said she would be willing to have a special call board meeting on the 13th of.
No, I would have it on the agenda prep.
Oh,
At the
February
agenda
6th.
prep.
agenda prep.
So,
Mhm.
is the rest of the board in concurrence? That we have that?
The only thing is that we have to make sure that we have the polling locations confirmed by the counties, which we had the 3 counties this year. Once we have those, then we can do the notice of election, or the order of election, I'm sorry. So, and the order of election has to be called by February 17th. So we have to have I'm so nervous. We have to have a special board meeting before that date.
Ms. Gunther, so then is there a date that you would recommend would be the best date that would be the safest for us to do or do we need to have it as 2 separate items?
I think if we can have all the elections called on one day, that would be the best thing to do.
And you think the later date
Because
would be better?
We have the TRE and we have the Board of Trustees, so in that way, you have one special board meeting calling the elections. That would be the best way to do it.
So what I hear her saying is that we should have that we should have it in addition to the agenda prep so that we give staff enough time to make sure that they have all the location information necessary and we can hopefully get it done in one fell swoop, right?
Correct.
Awesome. Can we do that?
On the 13th, yes. Mhm. And by the way, Alicia, you know more about any of this than we do, so
Yes.
you don't need to be nervous.
You're running the show.
You're running the show. You just tell us what to do.
So then we'll move our regular meeting to February 13th. Everybody write that down.
We're going to be moving the May 21st meeting to May 13th.
You mean February?
February 13th. February 21st to May 13th. I'm having a calendar issue this year. I can't keep up with my calendar.
Okay, so what is the meeting date that we're going to call the election? Is this maybe parentheses S?
February
It's the same
13th.
day. If everything
February-
goes according to the schedule, it will all happen on that day.
And the
Okay,
deadline
so-
again is the 17th?
The 17th
So
of
we're
February.
playing it real close.
Okay, so and I guess that is my concern is like if we go to this meeting and we say the polling locations are going to be X, Y, and Z, and quite frankly, if I have issues with that, like I'm jammed up and there's no room for conversation of adding polling locations or moving polling locations, correct? Because we're doing it like the day before the deadline.
I'm wondering if we're just calling it and we don't have to designate at that time all of the polling locations. It could be designated at a later time. I'm sorry, it has to be designated at the same time you vote for the election. Oh, it has to be on the
I mean, I think
resolution.
this is how we've done it previously, though, and I think if we do it on the 13th, then we've still got several days before the actual deadlines, that if for some reason we needed to have continuing conversations
back and have
or
another
something, we
meeting.
could have a special called meeting.
I mean, if we
Okay,
have to come
no,
back-
I mean, if there's, yeah, then I'm cool with that too.
Is that a Tuesday? Or is that a
The Monday.
Monday.
If we have to come back for a special meeting after that, it would just be a quick special meeting.
Okay.
Also, what I can do is the moment that I receive the locations and the times that they are going to be open, I can share with you In that way, you can make any changes or suggest any additional polling locations before we bring to the board the order of election. So in that way, we can talk to the counties to see if there's a possibility of adding additional polling locations. If it's okay with you.
We good with that?
That's awesome. Thank you, Alicia.
You're welcome.
Dr. Salmi, you okay? So everyone else?
Yes, and I like moving the whole board meeting from the 20th to the 13th so that we can just have one board meeting that month, one regular meeting. I support that.
She says she supports moving it from the February 21st to
Yeah, because
February.
if the deadline's a 17, that still gives us a little leeway. Okay. Anyone else have any items that they feel we need to add?
Ms. Cantu,
Yes?
I'd like an update from the redistricting committee.
You want an update from, on this
The committee.
agenda?
Yes, on
Oh,
the
redistrict.
January.
I did send an text to Mr. Rios, to Ed Rios, asking him to make contact with the members. I sent that this morning. Make contact
Yeah,
with them.
so if the update is that they haven't met and have done absolutely nothing since the last conversation we've had, like, then it can be agendized and they can come tell us that.
You want to add it on the January, for the January meeting, you want to call for an update?
Yes.
And maybe they will have to have a meeting so they can come back to us and give us something.
Maybe that's what it'll take, yes. So, yes, I'd like an update from the committee in January.
So he wants to add it to
You
that.
got it.
Add. I've not received a response from him. I did say to him that Mr. McLaughlin was present for the meeting and that he should make contact with him to see what else they want to talk about. But the way it seems like we're not in a big rush with those meetings, we're probably not looking at any changes until the 24th election. Is that
Yeah,
your
no,
understanding?
Yeah.
I appreciate all of that narration. But again, then let's have the committee come and tell us that, right? That they're not meeting with any regularity or frequency, or there's no sense of urgency. So we don't know when they're going to meet or what their timeline is. And I'd like to hear that from the committee themselves.
Okay, so where did you add it?
Under just an informational report, under Board of Trustees.
Anyone else have any other items to add? I have no other items. I'll call for an adjournment. And Mr. Shanks is ready to do that.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. We adjourn. All in favor, please raise your hands. 7 people
Y'all be
are
safe.
ready to go. Thank you all.